Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Shining Resonance Refrain, played on PlayStation 4 for the review, also available on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PC. Shining Resonance Refrain is a remastered, expanded version of Shining Resonance that was previously only released in Japan for PlayStation 3. Shining Resonance is part of Sega's Shining franchise that started back on the Mega Drive with Shining in the Darkness, moving forward with the much popular Shining Force series on Sega Genesis. Resonance has you following a group of Dragoneers, warriors with musical instrument weapons, and most importantly the main character Yuma, the vessel for the soul of the Shining Dragon. The team works together to try and stop the Empire from grabbing the other world dragon souls for their own selfish purposes. Shining Resonance is an action RPG where the world's zones are all connected through transitional borders, and you navigate your party of up to 4 to different destinations as they become necessary to the plot. After almost every quest, you'll find yourself back in the kingdom of Astoria, where your party uses the Seagull Inn as their headquarters. As they discuss their next steps, you can click the touchpad to see the overworld map to get a rough idea of which path to take on this particular outing to trigger the next event. Combat takes place in real time after a set of enemies are engaged. You can see the enemy avatars roaming around, and they'll come after you as you walk or run closely to them. Most of the time, if you don't want to fight, you can run and get away as long as you have enough room to navigate by them. Once battle begins, borders will appear around your position, denoting the combat area. Although you encounter one avatar, a host of other fiends will usually fade in for the scuffle. Now each character has a basic attack with the circle button, and a break attack with triangle. Enemies will enter a break state if you hit them with break moves enough at proper times, which leaves them stunned for a moment and drastically lowers their defense. The reticle color changes when you're getting them close to breaking. You seem to have the most success breaking an enemy by attacking them while they were preparing to cast a spell or blocking. You can map up to 4 abilities to a character at a time called forces. These are accessed by holding the L1 button and pressing a face button. They consume your MP. Now keep in mind you only actually control one party member at a time, so the rest is left up to your AI-controlled friends. On normal battles that are level appropriate, usually they'll function just fine. On the lower end levels, you could probably even walk away and use the restroom and they'll handle it. But if you try and take on bigger enemies or bosses, expect your party members to kind of rush in, stand in burning pools of stuff, and barely use any defense. You can only hold a limited number of curative items, including ones that bring people back to life, so you may find yourself grinding a bit above and beyond for an encounter, even though the enemies leading up to that point were effortless. Enemies in each area seem to level along with the story in the game's 8 chapters to keep the difficulty up, without much noticeable increase though in experience rewards. As mentioned, your party members' weapons are musical instrument weapon combos. These can be put to use through the use of the BAND, band, an acronym for something, and you can learn songs that can be started by the press of R1. While played in combat, these often boost a particular stat like extra defense or attack for the duration. Your use is limited by your BPM, which is denoted by the gauge on the left side of the screen. This will fill up as you successfully attack enemies. The final piece of combat is Yuma himself, your main character's ability to transform into a dragon. While doing this, you'll still follow the basic circle and triangle attacks, but with a constant depletion on Yuma's MP while in dragon form. This mechanic is triggered by hitting L1 and R1. Now, you have to make sure Yuma isn't moving or in the middle of an action when you press the button combo, or often just pretend you only pressed R1 and will take you to the band launching screen. Item usage and party member changing can be done in combat exclusively by pressing the options button. Then you can rearrange the order of your members, and whomever is on the left is the one you control. If the leader you're controlling dies, it will auto-pick the next one. Now while you're controlling Yuma in dragon form, you can't access the pause screen at all to use items or revive people or anything, so use accordingly. There are no armor or new weapons for your characters to be found, and instead your equipment customization comes from what's called aspects. Aspects can be crafted or purchased and are various colored spheres that boost your stats or cause specific effects. Things like bonus attack power, resist confused status, or be rewarded with more money after battles. The last piece of character customization is what's called tuning for your various instrument weapons. As you complete battles, they'll rank up to 30, and when you hit that max, you'll open up new ones which will start at level 1. Each tuning has a specific boost or effect that's added to your attacks, and the higher the rank, the more it increases attack stat, and the tuning will determine the number of aforementioned aspects you can equip at once. Tunings can only be changed by going to a specific NPC in Astoria. Now, in addition to the main quest, you'll find an abundance of side quests. While in any area, you can press triangle to blow up the preview map on the corner to full size. And while you're in Astoria, this can help you find where to initiate quests. NPCs will ask for specific items that can be found as drops from enemies or shiny things on the ground, and also to eliminate specific foes. The rewards for these were thoroughly underwhelming. It was often just more of an exchange of something else you could find in the wild. There was no experience gain or any other noticeable increase of anything, which seemed kind of odd. In addition to that, you can find treasure chests on the world maps, but most of them also contain consumable items, which if you're prepared for a boss fight, stocked up, and then you find one of these chests, it won't let you accept the additional items. In the very rare occurrence though, you would find a trait in chests as well. Traits are used on the bond diagram, which is used to set up your character relationships from traits found in said chest or through some of the game's cutscenes. Basically, it's simulating relationships on how your characters see each other. And I'm guessing some of the support abilities that are triggered in combat are based on these facts. On the bond diagram, Yuma is in the middle, and the party members surround him. I'll be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of tweaking here. I just kind of worked to make sure there were no negative feelings between characters. Kind of just left the rest of that. You can build further affinities with characters by inviting them to talk while you rest or camp. You can go on dates by walking around town to different event spots, and the two characters I'd spent a lot of time with ended up revealing special traits as we went into the last chapter. In your grind to get some levels, there's an optional set of dungeons accessed through an NPC using a book called the Grimoire. Here you can alter the enemy set and a few other things with consumable items as you go through 2 level dungeons and a boss for a chance to get some loot. There are a handful of environments that will produce different enemy sets, and there are chances for mutations and events to occur that can alter the gameplay slightly as you dive in. Alchemy can be performed to create your basic consumable items and also create the aspects as well. Just often felt so random which ingredients I had on hand, from enemy drops to side quest rewards to what I'd found on the ground, that I don't think I ever really focused on seeking out a specific ingredient for a specific recipe, because it wasn't easy to just know where things were. Enemy designs in this game are diverse, and even with some palette swapping, there's often enough changes to the character models to feel pretty different. Various dragon designs are actually really cool. The cast of playable characters are unique. The environments did feel a little small, and you'll see each of them a lot as you make your quest further and further away from Astoria, often traipsing the same ground without a way to fast travel. When the game doesn't want you going somewhere yet, they'll often stick an overpowered enemy in front of that exit, or just make it red where you can't pass through. Overall, the story was full of twists and turns and pretty well written. One of my personal most hated tropes, though, is the boss that keeps running away and you fight them again and again. And that's here in spades. Characters even talking about running away after a fight to fight another day. A lot of the optional cutscenes were very Japanese feeling, and there's a decent amount of fluff there, but it's pretty high quality fluff. But yeah, make no mistake, there are a lot of cutscenes. One addition Shining Resonance Refrain has is the ability to start the Refrain version of the game that includes 2 more playable characters that had come from DLC, but only seems to add new romance situations and night conversations. And from what I've seen, didn't really affect the main story in any other way. Overall, Shining Resonance Refrain has a well-written and voice-acted story, good character and enemy diversity, very little character customization though. Combat gets repetitive, circle tapping pretty quickly. You can traverse the same areas over and over. Unless I did something wrong, there's a decent amount of required level grinding, a seemingly endless supply of purposeless side quests, and a good diversity of environments even though they were fairly small. Rated as an action RPG, Shining Resonance Refrain hits a 54 out of 100 on my true 0 to 100 scale, where 50 is an average game. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching.